What's going on? It's your boy Yellow again. We're back here on my channel with another topic. I'm wearing this wrinkly ass Laker shirt. Woo, you know, LA Lakers. I live in LA currently, so you know, I should have ironed this shirt, my bad. Like even the last video, like I didn't iron my shirt. Look at this, wrinkly. But anyways, so I currently live in LA. I'm originally from San Diego, but I moved to LA. And so this video is about filming in dangerous neighborhoods or dangerous areas or dangerous locations. So back to me, you know, LA, you know, we know about Hollywood and Beverly Hills and the Hollywood Hills and the bougie, rich, whatever. But, you know, there's another side of LA that people don't go to. There's like the real LA, you know. When people talk about, hey, the people in LA are fake, they're talking about the Hollywood people, the transplants that move to LA and create that personality or that characteristic of the fake Hollywood, blah, blah, blah. The real LA is the south of the 10, the, you know, east of the Dodger Stadium. You know, like that's the real LA. Me moving here, you know, I started shooting with a lot of local artists. And when I mean local, I mean like I've shot with artists between from South Central to Compton to Inglewood to Watts to Carson to Long Beach to Cerritos to Downey to East LA to you name it. I've been to every single damn Crip or Blood or SA neighborhood. I don't want to say every neighborhood, but I've been to a lot of cities where you shouldn't be going to. Now I know there's a lot of kids that like move to LA, kids from the Midwest or suburb kids move to LA to try to be a filmmaker. They go on Craigslist and they're looking for, you know, any gig that they can pick up and try to make some money, you know, just so they can feel very motivated and boost their ego to that I'm getting paid to be a filmmaker. And they see these little ads that say $600 budget for a music video, and then they think, yeah, we got it. And next thing you know, they're in the middle of the Watts Towers trying to shoot some videos for some Crips or something like that, not knowing exactly where they are, not knowing the people that they're shooting with, and not knowing nothing. So it's like, you gotta be careful. You gotta know what the hell you're doing before you go and shoot where you're gonna shoot at. So I'm here to tell you what you need to do before you even go to any of these areas and neighborhoods. One thing you gotta do is you gotta have some balls when you go. You gotta have a third eye open, and you gotta make sure that you are on your toes at every moment, because you don't want to go somewhere that you've never been to and not worry about anything, including getting your equipment taken from you, getting hands put on you, or anything of that sort. Make sure you know exactly who you shooting for, because if you don't know that, you don't know where they're from, you can't research them or find about who they are, you shouldn't shoot with them at all. If anything, any client that wants you to shoot where they want to pick to shoot at, you should suggest to shoot somewhere else where it's a little safer on your side, just so you can get to know the artist and get to understand them. Maybe suggesting a studio spot so you guys can build some type of relationship or something, so that you'll be able to go over there. I'm blessed because I knew a lot of guys in LA, and through me growing up where I grew up at back home in San Diego, and there's a lot of LA people and San Diego people that connect with each other, that, you know, they talk and they give their blessings, you know what I mean? So I had a lot of blessings on my name thanks to a lot of people back home on who I am, and for them to trust me for their vision. So, you know, like I wouldn't be done wrong anywhere if I had to go somewhere also. Another thing you gotta be careful on is wherever you go, you gotta know who's around you, who's surrounding with you. Don't go by yourself if there's no one else that you can trust yourself around. Like make sure you have at least 2 guys with you, maybe, or 2 people with you that will be able to look out for you and also help you on set as well. Don't go alone if you don't know anyone or barely know the artist or the person that you're shooting for as well, because that's a no-go. Like you got to make sure that's a no-go also. Another thing too, wherever the artist is taking you, make sure that they're allowed to be in the neighborhood or the area that they're supposed to be in, because sometimes these artists just go somewhere thinking like, yeah, we're just gonna shoot here because it looks grimy or whatever, but it's like, no, you don't belong here because you're not from here, so don't go here if you're not from here. You gotta make sure you check in. If they don't check in, or they don't have a homie that's gonna be there that's from there, then there's no point. Because I almost had that issue in East Los Angeles a few years ago, shooting for the homie, and he did have a homie that was from that area, and it was still some problems. So you gotta know how to keep on your toes. Also, like, you gotta make sure, like, if something does go down, you gotta be prepared at all times to cover, or to know where to go, or to know where to take off. You know how fast you can grab your stuff and move, because sometimes you just have to move. Sometimes you can be in a neighborhood where you're supposed to be safe at because you're surrounded by the people from that neighborhood, and another neighborhood could be right down the street and could come right by and, you know, cause some trouble or some havoc. So you need to be careful about that. It's not a game. Like, it really isn't a game. Like, you gotta make sure you do your research. You gotta be thankful for having the internet. You should be able to research a little bit about the person you're shooting for, or the area that you're going to know if, you know, if things are good or not. And even if that doesn't guarantee everything, but at least you get a little bit of knowledge on what you're doing. A few years back, I did a video in Westside Compton in the Piru neighborhood for some OGs that, you know, are very respected from where they're from. So one of the OGs, you know, he was willing to speak on camera for me about this issue. So I spoke with the OG Red Rum. He's from Inglewood. He also is one of the original Bangin' on Wax, Bloods and Crips. If you even know that album, if you might be too young, maybe you can search it up. But, you know, back in 92, 93, that album was like one of the most gangbanged albums from that era. But, you know, he was one of the contributors to that album as well. But, you know, he actually started jumping behind the camera and started filming himself. So, you know, he became a filmmaker as well. He picked up a DSLR and started filming. So you get a best of both worlds. He is a filmmaker now, but also he is from that type of environment. I'm gonna jump this video over so you can take a look at what he said. I'm gonna, you know, I do a brief little interview with him, so take a look.
So we were just talking about, you know, like, not a lot of directors, especially the ones you see on YouTube, don't really just go and shooting in the hood all the time. And, you know, like with me, I'm not from out here, but, you know, I grew up in my hood down in San Diego. But at the same time, like, that doesn't give me a pass to just walk up in here. Like, you gotta know people. And, you know, he could explain that. Ray Ron will explain that more. Like,
how wild is right about now is good for the directors and anybody that's shooting videos. You have to develop some type of rapport with the artist that you're shooting for, because if they tell you to come out to the hood and they not good in the hood like that, they're gonna get punked on camera, and then you're gonna get your camera taken.
exactly.
So you gotta know who you shooting, and you really gotta know your environment. Not just out there. You can't just be a Hollywood ass director, just staying out in Malibu and going up to the, you know, because they don't really got grimy scenes out there. You know what I'm saying? How is right now, they want grimy shit. You gotta get in the hood. You gotta know who you f***ing with though. Develop those relationships with who you f***ing with. You got to, especially like the urban shit. Everybody not bad, but the environment might not be as friendly as you think it is f***ing who you f***ing with.
You might have to encounter where you do work with a lot of artists that are from a neighborhood somewhere, that you're gonna learn starting from there and whoever you grow with. But you gotta know that one time doesn't always give you that one pass. You have to build a relationship with everyone around there, because, you know, you want to show love regardless of where you're at. If you want to come out here without having to just bring your camera out, because, I mean, you can be welcome here if you go about it correctly. If not, then, I mean, it is what it is.
You're gonna learn the hard way, so we're trying to give you the shortcut. We're trying to tell you what to do in what type of situations before you get put in a compromising position. Listen to us, because we're here. We know what we're talking about.
Exactly.
Whoa.
Great words from the OG Red Rum. Thank you for doing that for me. I know it was years ago that we did that, and that was when I was trying to start my YouTube video. I think it was like 4 or 5 years ago when we recorded that. And that was me trying to start my YouTube channel, but I was just, you know, slacking. No, I won't say slacking. I was just so busy. Like, work gets crazy, especially when you're an independent filmmaker. You start taking whatever work you're given to you, because, you know, you never know when things start drying up. You just constantly take work. And I know that's that mentality we have. Even though, like, we're good on work, we still take more, because it's just sometimes you know, you want to feel that security. But anyways, when you go to these neighborhoods, or you know you're going somewhere that you shouldn't be at, make sure you do check in and be safe. Once you get to the point where you build relationships with these artists and the people in those neighborhoods and stuff, you'll be more welcomed into that neighborhood without having to worry about, you know, you getting checked or pressed or anything like that. But still, wherever you go, you still got to check in. I'm blessed that I'm able to step foot in many of these neighborhoods without any issues or worries or problems. You know, they're not looking out for me. At the same time, it's a respect thing to be able to check in and do these types of things, because that's how the world works. And it's not just LA, it's everywhere. Every city has an area where it's just not the place to go all the time. So you just have to learn to check in and make sure that you build relationships with people in that area where you feel safe enough to be there. Like I said, I've been blessed to be able to step foot in places where I shouldn't be and be able to pick up a camera and bring a visual to life for the people in those neighborhoods. And I thank everyone that's ever invited me into their neighborhoods and kept my safety. I thank you guys all, because it's very important. There's been numerous of incidents where filmmakers have been shot and killed over altercations or over being in neighborhoods or getting jacked or whatever because of them going into the wrong neighborhood and just being too focused as a filmmaker that they don't focus on their surroundings. So be safe, man. Like, this isn't something you should be doing all the time if you're not on your toes. Like, I'm always on my toes. If I'm ready, I have to be ready. I will get set and take off if I need to, or be able to protect myself by any means necessary. So make sure you stay safe. I don't suggest you go into those areas if you don't understand those neighborhoods. I'm just here to give you guys at least a little insight on how to maneuver into something like this, because no one really talks about stuff like this on YouTube, because a lot of times we don't think about that, but I think about that. And I know there's a lot of filmmakers out there that, you know, you got to get your bread. You're trying to shoot something that's cool, and sometimes you're gonna have to go somewhere that you shouldn't be going to. And I mean, I don't say that's okay, but you got to do what you got to do. But you got to understand what you're gonna be doing. So make sure you do that. Stay safe, because maybe a few years ago there was a young black filmmaker who was shooting, you know, getting very successful. He was shot and killed because someone robbed him and took his equipment as well. All he was doing what he loved, and he actually came from those neighborhoods. So imagine they doing that to someone of their own. Imagine what they would do to you. You know what I'm saying? I've heard about another story where another kid was shot and killed because they shot right by a fence or something of that sort. And being guilty by association is just the worst way to go out. And you don't want that to happen to you. Don't take the gig if you don't have to. You know what I'm saying? If you don't have to take the gig, don't do it. If you feel comfortable, like, by all means, I'm not going to stop you from doing it, but make sure you know what you're doing. I hope you liked this video. I want to hear what you have to say. I'll try to comment if there's any more comments about this, but if you do, like, subscribe, comment, do all that. Let people know about my channel. I'm still pretty new, so I want people to enjoy what I talk about. I'm trying to talk about more stuff like this on other sides of filmmaking that people don't talk about. So keep them coming. I'm going to keep answering. I'm going to keep doing these videos. So thank you again, and we out of here. Peace.